My name is Anne Marie, and I'm overseeing at the moment the care committee. And I just wanted to kind of share some reflections on the care committee with you. It's something that I've been participating in for about 2 years, and it's different than I thought. And I just would like to share a little bit about that with you tonight. And I wrote down some thoughts because sometimes I get a little nervous doing this sort of thing. So I hope you'll bear with me. So about 2 years ago, as I said, I shifted into a role helping with the care committee. And at first I just reflect that I think, like, as a group of folks that have a Buddhist meditation practice, I think, generally speaking, that we're realistic about the reality or the truth of suffering. And it makes perfect sense that kind of coming out of that we would want to organize a response when our fellow Sangha members are experiencing some sort of suffering in their own lives, loss, a death of a spouse, perhaps illness, things like this. One of the first ways when I stepped into this role that we responded was with food and flowers. And this is a way that I think is very familiar to many of us from growing up. If you grew up in a church or a synagogue, or maybe just in the South, like the casserole with mayonnaise is a staple. And so I think this was sort of like a natural way to get going. But I think over time, like, what we really started thinking about as part of our practice also is to offer what is needed. And interestingly enough, it turned out, as we interacted with folks that were going through a difficult period, that they didn't really need or want food or flowers very often. I'm not downplaying those things, but it just turned out that happened to be the case. People needed things like this: someone to sit with a loved one so they could take a break, and perhaps maybe just a ride somewhere, help with yard work, and sometimes someone to come meditate with them when they couldn't get out of the house for various reasons. And talking to folks about what they need, it's been surprising to hear some of the responses. And I'm going to give you a non-IMCC example, but I think it kind of speaks generally to 2 points I'd like to make. I met a woman who had a regular meditation practice at the hospital, and her husband was dying. And she was about 2 hours from home, and she had a group of folks that she sat with really regularly. She was really missing them. So she had a kind of a creative ask for them. During the time that they would usually gather, she would call on the phone to this group, and someone in the group would pick up the phone, and they would sit together for their regular sit in silence together on the phone. And I just thought, wow, that never would have occurred to me that would be what was needed. It was kind of funny and very specific and lovely. And I think it kind of illustrates the unpredictable nature of responding to what might be needed. It might be something simple and something I never would have thought of that in a million years. But it also speaks to the fact that when we're hurting, we tend to reach out to people who we're in relationship with already. And that's kind of what this woman did. And the same, I think, has been true over time here at IMCC. A fellow member here whose husband was sick and dying, she wanted some of the folks that she knew that were familiar to her from the Sangha we organized a response, but she wanted included in that response the people that were familiar to her. And so this is a little bit rambling, I'm afraid, but I just would like to point out that first, that we are a body of people with a diverse talents, and we're also a body of people with diverse needs. And so what very particular thing someone might need you might just be the one person that could offer that. And then also, just going back to the point that it's often people in our orbit already that are really suited to offer us support. And it might be the person you said hi to when you walked in tonight, or the person you were looking for who's not here. And you might be thinking right now, well, everyone in the room might not feel connected. And I think that's true. And you may yourself not be feeling connected right now. But I think that's part of our practice too, in practicing kind of like wholeheartedly being in relationship with one another and offering that to other people, new people that are in the room with us for the first time. Maybe participating in a meditation class that was talked about tonight, or someone that you've gotten to know a little bit, asking if they might like to have coffee, or coming to a cookie night. So I guess what I've really learned from my experience so far with the care committee is that we're all members of the care committee with our diverse talents, and also in our interconnections with one another. The care committee isn't really a separate entity. It's all of us caring for one another. And although that being said, it's very helpful if you would let me know if someone is having something go on, or Judy or one of the teachers, so it can kind of get back to us. But I extend to you the invitation, the shift in thought of thinking that there's a separate committee that does something. It's really all of us, offering our special talents and caring for one another together in community. And that's all I wanted to share with you. So thank you.